I'm convinced that for the majority of men that watch a lot of porn and engage in a lot of masturbation, the primary reason is anxiety. I believe it's anxiety induced. You're anxious about something in your life right now, and the very thing that you resort to as a source of comfort, which blocks out the reality that you're going through for a few hours, is your porn addiction. Not knowing that in doing so, you are creating a sense of dependency on pornography as a immediate antidote to your anxiety. So you just keep going back to it the moment you experience even a little bit of anxiety. You had a difficult drive home, there was lots of traffic, it frustrated you. You go home and the first thing you do, you jump into bed and boom, you load up the sites. And so it's got to a point for a majority of men that it's no longer something they do out of seeking pleasure. It's just something they do to avoid discomfort. It's something they do to calm their anxiety. It's no longer something they do out of the pure sexual desire, right? I mean, I've coached guys on this before, and many of them have told me that it's not something that's even enjoyable anymore. There's no enjoyment out of it. It's almost like clockwork. It becomes such a ingrained routine that it doesn't feel pleasurable in any way. And you know what? It shouldn't. And the reason why is because playing with yourself whilst watching other people on a screen is not normal. And we have to call it out for what it is. Now it's been normalized so much, right? It really has. But it's actually a very unnatural thing. You don't see it happening out in the wild, right? People have some sort of shame in even expressing a lot of physical affection outside. I'm not talking about holding hands or the occasional kiss. I'm talking about full on going at it in a public park. There's a certain shame that's involved in that, even amongst societies that are not particularly religious, right? You just don't do that. And in most countries, it's a crime. So for you to watch it on a screen, other people going at it, that's not normal. And that's why a lot of guys experience the post-nut clarity that comes after that, which is usually coupled with feelings of guilt and shame. Because you know it's not a good thing to be doing. It's not empowering. It's not uplifting. It's not. In the moment, you're getting a dopamine hit, but afterwards, I mean, it really drops. And so that for you to experience like your baseline level starts dropping. So now even things out in public, like being out in nature, engaging in your hobbies, don't even stimulate you in the way they used to, because your dopamine receptors are fried. And guys that get really addicted to watching porn often feel that they have to resort to more hardcore versions because the vanilla shit no longer stimulates them. The consequences are severe, man. But we have to trace the root problem. And in my opinion, based on the countless conversations that I've had, it's usually related to dealing with anxiety. You're anxious, you don't know which outlet to take, and you resort to watching porn as a way for you to cope with it. Right, let me just sort out my camera here. Stop moving. Right? So you resort to watching porn as a way to deal with it. And now that you're aware that this is one of the biggest reasons. Now look, there might be other reasons, but I believe this is the biggest one, right? I believe it stems out of frustration. Maybe you were ignored by a girl that you were going to go out with, and you're like, man, fuck these women. I'm so pissed off at this. And And so what do? You jump into bed and couple of pumps and you're finished, right? But it stems out of frustration. Now look, having these urges is very normal. Of course it is. We're men at the end of the day with testosterone running through our bloodstream. It's very normal to have these urges. And in fact, it's good. If you don't have the desire, the sexual desire, then there might be an issue with your testosterone levels, right? I'm not a medical professional, but that's a conclusion that I believe could be the case, right? So it's very normal to have those urges, but the outlet is what we need to change. We need to change the way in which we release some of that frustration. The best ways to do so is by engaging in regular physical exercise. I'm not talking about walking, just walking. No, walking is very good, by the way. 10,000 steps minimum, fellas. But on top of that, a heavy or high levels of activity, hitting the gym hard, not just going in there doing the same weight you've been doing for a year. That's crap. That doesn't stimulate you enough. If you're not exhausted afterwards, then you didn't really push yourself. And that's a separate video in of itself. But so many guys go to the gym, do the same exercises they've been doing for 2 years, lift the same easy weights. And then at the end of it, they're like, well, I haven't really felt anything. Yeah, it's because you're relaxed. You're too relaxed. You're not pushing your body. It's not under stress. All right? So that's one significantly advantageous outlet, which I know sounds like an absolute no-brainer. Obviously, Annie, go and hit the gym. But honestly, because if you don't, you're going to find a way to just release some of that frustration. And if you're at home all day, you're going to release it on yourself. Literally, you're going to bust nuts all over yourself, right? And free time is dangerous. Just the act of going to the gym gets you out of the house, which means that it's a lot less likely that you're going to play with yourself, right? Because you're out in public now. So you being out the house for a couple of hours, 2.5, maybe 3 hours, that reduces the likelihood of you fiddling around, shall we say. So that is beneficial in that sense. It keeps you out the house. I mean, that's one of the best pieces of advice I can give you guys in relation to, no FAP, is just get out the house. You might have a wonderful home. It might be so nice and cozy, but get out. Get your 10,000 steps. Hit the gym for a couple of hours. Meet a friend for some coffee. Reduce the amount of time you actually spend at home so that you're not sat there thinking, well, what should I do? Because that's when the devil whispers. That's when the devil comes and says, well, just one video, just one look, one glance. And then before you know it, you're 3 hours in. Just like that. Okay? Plus, what going to the gym does for you, gentlemen, is it boosts your self-esteem. And when you have a higher regard for yourself, you're less likely to engage in these degenerate habits. It's true. If you see yourself in a more positive light, you respect yourself a lot more. And when you respect yourself a lot more, you want to do things that take care of you, things that benefit you, because you have a lot of regard for yourself. But when you see yourself as a loser who can't get women, who everybody rejects, who nobody respects, then you're more likely to continue demeaning yourself. You're not going to want to get out of your comfort zone and pursue excellence, and no, because you don't like yourself. All right? So going to the gym will boost that self-esteem massively, because you look in the mirror and you're like, yeah, man, look at me, I'm in great shape. Now, of course, that's one way you can channel that energy, but it's one of the best ways. Another thing is to find a skill, an activity that can occupy your time outside of the physical exercise aspect of things. Right? I want to say a skill. It could be learning a new instrument, a language. It could be pursuing a business that you've been thinking about for quite some time. You need something else to occupy your time and your mind, most importantly. Your mind. Because if your mind is fucking blank and all you've got in there is arse and titties, that's all you're going to be thinking about, right? But if you've got something that is really interesting to you that will help you improve the quality of your life, maybe a business idea, learning a new high income skill, learning a new language, that's going to be something that will occupy some of your mind throughout the day. Oh, later on, I've got to do this call for a client. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. Right? You've got more things that your mind can focus on. And what happens when you progress in a skill like that, like learning a language or like trading or whatever it may be, you also get a nice self-esteem boost when you know you're progressing at it. And what happens when your self-esteem increases? You're less likely to engage in degenerate habits because you respect yourself a lot more. You value yourself a lot more. And because you value yourself a lot more, you will not want to let yourself down. You will not want to let yourself down. When your self-esteem increases, your view of yourself changes. You no longer see yourself like a loser who can't get any women, who isn't respected in the workplace. No, no, no. It's the total opposite of that. You're like, you know what? I am the real deal. All right? I am the man. So everything changes. Your decision-making starts to change. You no longer want to engage in things that will hurt you. Smoking, drinking, watching loads of porn. You'll no longer want to do things like that because your regard for yourself has increased. So that's how it affects you. It's not just going to the gym and just being there that helps you. It's the knock-on effect it has. It's not just learning a new language. It's the knock-on effect it has on your self-esteem. People that watch a lot of porn have low self-esteem. And sometimes they know what they should be doing, but they can't seem to pull the trigger on it. And that's why I will tell you today to commit to something. Make an actual physical action. Buy the course today. Have some skin in the game. You know? Because we got to target ourselves where it hurts. And I don't want to say that investing in a course is something that's hurtful. No. But for some of us, we've been pushing it away because we don't want to spend that money. When in fact, it's not spending, it's investing. But commit to something today that will shake up the routine. Invest in that course. Sign up to the top 3% community, which is a community I run, where we help men improve their communication, their confidence, their style, charisma, relationships, amongst many other things. The link to that is down in the bio below. You're around like-minded people that are also improving themselves. Okay? Do things like that. Sign up to jiu-jitsu. Surround yourself with people that are improving their capabilities as a fighter. Do something that you haven't done before to change the routine, because nothing changes if nothing changes. If you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you've always got. It's that simple, gentlemen. It's that simple. Jim Rohn used to say, in the next 5 years, you will surely arrive. The question is where? Where will you arrive? A lot of people are older, but they're not any better. I'm going to say that again. A lot of people are older, but they're not any better. And that should scare you. So invest in yourself. Pursue discomfort every single day, because you've got to be a totally different person to get totally different results. You can't keep operating on the same software that you've been operating on for the last 5 years and expect things to change. We use the word innovation in technology a lot. This company's innovating. This company's innovating. Right? They're changing the way they do things. They're removing old systems. They're implementing new systems. That also applies to human beings. You can't use the same software for years and years and years and expect to keep progressing. No, at some point, you've got to ditch the old software. You've got to say to yourself, right, these old habits are not getting me anywhere near where I should be. I'm going to ditch those habits and I'm going to engage in good habits that will get me to where I want to be. Right? We can't keep lying to ourselves, gentlemen. For things to change, we must change. Jim Rohn used to say, the day that turns your life around is the day you experience disgust, where you say, enough is enough. I've had it. I refuse to live like this any longer. Going forward, things will be different. And one of the first steps that he encourages is get serious. Before you can do anything else, get serious. Decide. Make a decision. Get the course. Invest in the seminar. Do something different going forward. Otherwise, nothing will change. That anxiety is rooted to your lack of purpose. It's connected, it's interlinked. Your anxiety is interlinked to your lack of purpose. Because you don't feel like you have a direction, you feel anxious. And this is really something that especially men experience, because we want to feel useful. We want to feel like we're contributing to something, to our family, to an organization, to a wider community. We don't want to feel like we're just doing nothing. We're bums. We just sit at home, consume, and don't give back. So start thinking about what you can do to live a more purposeful life. The moment you start getting small wins in your various disciplines, in your health, in your finances, in your relationships, your self-esteem changes, your identity changes. You no longer look at yourself in the same way that you did when you had low self-esteem. The same eyes, but you no longer look at yourself the same way. You're like, man, I'm fucking proud of you. You're out there slaying the dragon every day. You're making moves. You're chasing excellence. And as I said, when your self-esteem shoots through the roof, you're less likely to want to engage in these degen habits. Okay, gentlemen, so I wanted you to really understand how your destructive habit of watching a lot of porn and masturbating all over yourself on a regular basis, that's connected to anxiety. It really is. When you actually think about it, it's not something you do now just out of pleasure. For the majority of guys, it's just routine. It's routine because the moment they experience anxiety, they jump into bed, get it over and done with, but they don't realize they're hurting themselves more in the long run when they do that. And one question I wanted to ask you to finish off is, what would the best version of myself do? Ask yourself this question. What would the best version of myself do? What habits would this person engage in? It's certainly not busting nuts all over himself. It's certainly not watching other people have physical intercourse on a video. I want you to bear that in mind. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want to find out more about the community, click on the link down in the description below. When you do join the community, you get a free 30-minute coaching call with me, where we can discuss what your goals are over the next year and help you towards attaining those goals. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.